Have an idea of what the Supreme Court could look like if the president's pick is confirmed. Judge Brett Kavanaugh went to Capitol Hill today to begin the process of winning support from lawmakers for his confirmation. Now, he's being praised by those on the right and criticized by those on the left. Searches for Kavanaugh spiked on Google after President Trump's announcement. Millions of people want to know who he is. A 53-year-old father of two girls. He graduated from Yale. Kavanaugh has served on the D.C. Circuit Court since 2006, and he was a clerk for retiring Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy. That's his background. But what about his legal opinions? That's what lawmakers are focusing on as Kavanaugh prepares for the Senate confirmation process. Frederick Lawrence is a distinguished lecturer in law at Georgetown Law and secretary/CEO of the Phi Beta Kappa Society. Let's get right to it and talk about Brett Kavanaugh. Where does he stand as far as conservatism, with all of the justices right now?
He is very conservative. He will likely be, along with Justice Gorsuch, all the way on the right side of the court, actually with Justice Gorsuch and Justice Thomas. He will certainly be well to the right of Justice Kennedy. So the real question on the table, does this tip the balance of the court? The answer to that is absolutely.
Moments after President Trump announced Kavanaugh, what happened was my inbox got flooded, maybe yours did too, with so many people, Democratic senators saying, yeah, not so much are we going to be supporting him, or there are people also saying on the Republican side that they would. So many people have so much to say. What do you think is going to happen with these Democratic senators?
I think this smart money would seem to suggest that ultimately he's confirmed, although it's likely to be very close. I think what we really should be focused on in the next step would be to have a functional confirmation hearing. That would require people asking real questions and the candidate being prepared to give real answers.
What decisions could be at risk if we do get a confirmation here? So many people are worried about Roe v. Wade. Is that something we should be worried about if that's something we support?
That's the first one everybody's been talking about, and there's good reason for it. The balance on abortion rights generally has been very, very close in the court, and Justice Kennedy has often been thought of to be that fifth deciding vote in 5-4 decisions, so this could very well flip it. A lot of people are focused on the question of whether Roe would be overturned. I think that's probably the wrong question to ask, because well short of overturning Roe, it could really be cut back on substantially. Another area to look at is affirmative action and discrimination and civil rights generally. In affirmative action right now, that court is right on the balance. In fact, the last time the court spoke about affirmative action, it was actually a vote of 4-3 because Justice Kagan had to recuse herself. So the assumption was if she were in, she would have been the fifth vote. That would have been 5-3. So who's the missing vote? Well, that's Justice Scalia passed away. So now we know who that is. That's Justice Gorsuch. So now it's 5-4 with Justice Kennedy in that 5. Take Justice Kennedy out, put a Justice Kavanaugh in. I think that goes the other way. So I think affirmative action could very likely be struck down in the next couple of years.
Let's talk about this confirmation process just a little bit more. Democratic senators are up. It's an election year. They're worried about getting votes in places where President Trump really was doing very well. Do you think that that could make this a little tough? And where?
I think it could certainly make it tough. You've got Democratic senators up for re-election in North Dakota, in West Virginia, and in Indiana, all of whom had been supporters of Justice Gorsuch for very much these reasons. So the Republicans are looking for those 3 Democrats to be positive votes. And if they do, that puts it over the top. Now, on the other side of the equation, you've got Senators Collins and Murkowski from Alaska, Collins from Maine, who could go the other way. They are very strong pro-choice, pro-abortion rights and pro-choice Republicans. So they could go the other way. The other question in this that nobody knows right now is how long will this process go? Don't forget that Brett Kavanaugh has been an appellate judge for over a decade. He has over 300 decisions. So those could be taken apart line by line, piece by piece. He has a whole career before he went on the bench when he worked in the Bush White House, George W. Bush White House. So he has written statements from that. He has law review articles that he's written. What difference does this make? Well, if the process goes on all the way through the election cycle and after November, then you've got Democratic senators who've already been reelected or have been unelected, in which case, either way, they're free to vote however they like.
Well, Frederick Lawrence, we really appreciate your insight on this, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon.